Despite what Luca would have you think with his Eagles hat, no, we are not recording this before the Super Bowl. It is past. Your team lost. I'm sorry.
It's not my team. It's just a sick logo.
I think he's celebrating the loss.
He has many teams and many different
I really
sports.
don't have many teams. I just like the logo.
Yeah, okay.
What's the little logo on your hat? Is that someone trying to catch a butterfly?
A French skate brand.
Under my umbrella.
Okay, it's a no.
So we've gathered here today
Why are you starting this like a mass?
because this is your funeral, pal.
It could be a wedding.
Get the shovels out. 'Cause
Celebration
we're
of
talking
life.
about 32 teams. All 32 teams. We are talking about everything that has surprised us this season. Number one, we're here recording a podcast. That's a huge one. Let's get that out of the way.
Massive
Monster
Big
surprise.
time surprise.
That's a big dub. That's a big dub.
Big dub.
All right, big dub.
One of the most underrated stories of the year.
Should we go by division? Well, how do you guys want to do this?
I'm taking the Central, Corn's taking the Atlantic, Luca is taking the Pacific, and we're going to sprinkle in a little Metro, and we're each going to take some of the Metros. So,
Let's start with you, pal. Who do you want to talk about first, then?
all right, well, I mean, I guess I'll go in the order of where the standings are right now. I'm going to talk about the Dallas Stars. And there's a couple surprises with the Stars. One of the few gentlemen that does not wear a visor in the league, Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn had 46 points in 82 games last year. In 57 this year, he's already surpassed that number at 47. Look at how well the Dallas Stars have been playing this year. I mean, it's no coincidence why they're first in the Central at this moment in time. If you want your team to be great, I think you need your captain to be one of your best players, one of your leaders night in, night out.
So that's your biggest surprise.
I think it's like a pleasant surprise for the Stars that Jamie Benn has bounced back so well because last year he was not good.
Just for the sake of time, so we can actually get through all 32 teams, we're moving on right on. Unless you guys got something. No.
Okay, so I didn't really go in any particular order, just the ones I remembered first. So we'll start with the Leafs.
Big surprise.
Yeah, big surprise. And I'm actually going to go, this is a little inspiration from my buddy here. I'm surprised that anybody doesn't like the Ryan O'Reilly trade. He's just such a great fit with the team, I think, and obviously off to a great start so far. So don't be dumb. There was an honorable mention was maybe Matthew's slow season because I think people were looking at this year to be like, he could put up 70 or like something like crazy.
Got to
like
stay
that.
healthy.
Yeah.
It is honestly a joke, though, about O'Reilly. People thinking that they overpaid for a guy who, other than his first playoff run, which may have been... It was
with Colorado.
It was with Colorado, where I think he had 1 assist in 6 games. He's been almost a point per game guy. This is a guy that goes to battle. So for everyone saying like, "Oh, the Leafs gave him so much," like, shut the hell up.
People definitely were making the Foligno comparison, which seems like pretty
That
nuts.
seems wild, the Foligno comparison. And
cannot-
also,
yeah.
what more do you want Kyle Dubas to do? He's gone the opposite direction where he's paid a price for like guys like Foligno. Now it's finally time for him to take a swing. He took a swing on a guy that a lot of teams are interested in and can help a lot of teams, and people are criticizing him for it now too, saying he gave up too much. There's no in-between here. You're going to have to pay for a player of that caliber, and they didn't really give up that much.
Sorry, I know we're going a little long here, but I think for the Leafs we should.
Oh, quote him on that.
For his
Yeah,
team.
forever.
For his
No,
team.
no, 'cause
Clip it
they're
forever.
just- guys, Dubas has done everything he could possibly do. Like,
done a great
At
job.
this point, it is not on him.
Thanks, guys.
It is on everyone else.
One last thing, I will just throw a quick least surprising thing in there, and that's that the Leafs will probably play Tampa, and it was decided. in,
Change
like,
the
November.
playoff format.
So
oh my
dumb.
god! Like I get that it was all about like rivalries and divisions, but like it feels boring.
People are tweeting out, "Oh, it'll be the same matchups anyway," but it's like that's not the point of it.
It would be less definitive. one
Exactly.
versus
Everything is decided. There are no races that mean anything.
It's like
anymore.
it's like a sadly North American thing to try and force rivalries. Like I love the MLS, but like they tried the same thing too. The NHL tried it with this. Change it up, and let's change it up to the next team. Luca, what's up?
All right, I had the Pacific, and let's go with the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm just kind of surprised they're in first, based on kind of where they were coming into this season.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like I knew we were excited about their roster, but they had questions in net, like Logan Thompson, rookie goalie, Aiden Hill, not a proven starter. Now Thompson is hurt, and Aiden Hill's been the guy, and they're still kind of rolling along. Mark Stone is hurt now too. That's another big loss for this team. Again, and no players averaging a point per game on their team. Chandler Stevenson leads them. Eichel's
That's
under
surprising.
a point per game. Yeah, it's really spread out. So the way they're doing it is surprising me a little bit.
I can't stand the Golden Knights.
All right. Well, who
Can't
can you
stand
stand? Hopefully, it's the team you're talking about next.
Well, Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
Number 2 in the division.
Surprise.
There's a lot of great things. I'm going to go with Josh Norrisy, as we like to call him in Winnipeg, because we've all known that Josh Norrisy is good, and in the past, there's been a little uncertainty whether or not he was even necessarily a top pairing guy. He's proving that he's that and more. And the fact that he's already he broke Dustin Byfuglien's record in way less games is incredible. He could end up finishing the season with like 80 points, really. So I think Josh Norris has been the nicest surprise for the Jets this year.
One of the notes is just, it's gotta be Josh Norris. That's the note. You like, gotta get that one.
It's like he was
talking.
It was like he was talking to someone else in his own notes.
That's
gotta be.
That's the guy. That's the guy.
Gotta be.
That is our guy.
All right, Corn, who's it gotta be for the next team?
It's gotta be Boston. It doesn't work, you know.
Wait, who
but-
is it for Boston?
Yeah.
Boston. We're not just saying player specific. Like, I mean, the main thing is just their unbelievable record. Like, I picked them to have a bit of a fall off year. I think a lot of people did, and they're potentially having one of the all-time great seasons in NHL history.
We did not put them in our contenders.
I would probably say playoff hunt because that's a pretty good division too. But when healthy, I think they're still a threat.
So the goaltending has been unbelievably surprising. Linus Ullmark's just all of a sudden the best goalie in the league.
188 GAA.
Insane. Leads the league in save percentage too. And then Hampus Lindholm, I think, has been like people kind of forgot about him. It's just one of those things. Like, again, I know you're talking about Patrick Kane, maybe one of those things where people start to think bad things about a team or a guy on a terrible team. Sometimes you need to change the scenery. He's been unbelievable, and then I would say just Bergeron always surprises me that, like, how is he still doing this?
Luka,
Who do I got
what's up next?
Luka for this one literally just wrote LA Kings, nothing else.
I don't really know
This is gonna be
what
interesting.
I don't know what's surprising about them other than that I guess they're doing this again, and
What is it?
it being they're second in the Pacific, they're in the playoffs. We were talking about it before. Like, they're young players, Quinton Byfield, specifically to name him,
Like
not
Alex
doing much.
Turcotte,
Yeah,
Brant Clark.
not
like,
doing much.
Yeah.
Just kind of there, but they're getting by with like Kevin Fiala leading the way, which great trade for them. He's been
Again, not
unbelievable.
surprising though, right?
Not
Like, one of those
surprising.
weird ones. You're like, wow. Obviously, it was a cap thing.
I guess the surprising part is just like Phoenix Copley is in net for them and playing better than Jonathan Quick, and he's their goalie. I guess I just didn't see it with this roster and this collection of talent that they would be right there with Vegas. Like, they could finish first in the Pacific.
Kopitar box office. Next,
Kobe!
Jesse.
So Luke and I actually made a trade because wanted him to talk about Colorado. So
Trade. There's been a trade.
Yeah, we made a
I
trade.
took Vancouver, and
Terrible trade.
I don't even know.
I got the
Why?
better
There's
one.
so much to talk about.
I don't even know where to start because it is kind of surprising to me that Vancouver didn't take a step in the right direction. I guess it's surprising with how poorly they handled the Bruce Boudreau situation, because a guy like Jim Rutherford, you would expect a little better from him, and it was just not a good situation. Obviously, it's just surprising to me how dysfunctional that entire organization has been the whole year, to the point where it's like awful. Like, it has almost been embarrassing.
The Jim Rutherford point's great, though, because like you'd think bringing in a guy like that who's got a ton of experience and pedigree that your franchise just wouldn't be this dysfunctional with how they just handled the coaching thing and even just signing of players and like the trade deadline coming up too, but it's been just a mess.
Yeah.
Who's the next big squad?
I got Tampa Bay here. So this one's
That's a big
actually,
squad.
I think just a lot of people are probably surprised about this year is that Brandon Hagel's probably worth the hefty price they paid for him.
I'll eat
at this-
crow on that one. I ripped
Yeah,
that one
didn't
apart.
have him speechless.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't score 20 goals next year or the year after that.
I liked it. No?
You loved it. You did.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
I think people liked the idea of the trade. Most people just were pretty surprised at what they paid for it, but I think he's been even better than people expected.
Yeah, almost point per game, and he's a great secondary scorer for a team that
Needs it right now.
Needs it,
With-
exactly.
Like kind of almost slotted into the Palat role.
I'll eat crow on that one. I thought it was a bad move at the time. I ripped it apart, I remember. But yeah, he's playing wonderful.
Nearly derailed our 9-hour Trade Center stream.
I mean,
That
it
trade.
did derail it for a bit.
It did derail in a great way. And if you want to hear us ramble again for another 9 hours straight, because yay, we're doing that again this year. March 3rd, you can catch us in this room. It'll be just as hot. This time, Jesse will have a full lunch.
It gets incredibly chaotic.
no shirt on though.
Whoa,
No,
didn't know
there-
that. That's a surprise for us.
There's definitely going to be a shirt on.
Count me in.
We'll see.
Luca, what's up next?
Seattle, Jesse's favorite team, has found its way into being a playoff team, and I think that's a surprise. I did say they were going to make the playoffs, and I'm going to sneak the Seattle Kraken in there.
Ooh.
I'm going to sneak the Seattle Kraken in there.
That joke of a franchise.
So the main reason I picked them to make the playoffs, though, is just from looking year to year, there's turnover. Some teams make it, some teams fall out, and other teams just kind of step into that role. And so you think, hey, maybe Seattle, this is their year kind of thing. But it's really surprising considering, like, Martin Jones and Philip Grubauer are their goalies, and they are both not playing well, and they're still getting the job done. Offensively, you've got, like, Matty Beniers, Rookie of the Year, who's playing great. Andre Burakovsky's been a great signing. It's just like they have a lot of depth. They have a lot of like really solid
players.
forwards. Yeah, like Jaden Schwartz and
Jared McCann is unbelievable.
Jordan, he's gonna break the franchise goal record again this year. Like,
yeah, that's actually like every time I think about Jared McCann, that's so annoying that we have Alex Kerfoot instead of him.
Yeah, they're just a solid team, and from where they were last year, it's a huge surprise. Obviously,
Up next, what's surprising you, Jesse?
I look at Minnesota, and they are not. There's not a lot of surprising stuff going on about them. They are a fringe playoff team, which is where I think is exactly where they should be. They've got a couple people who can contribute on offense. Philip Gustafsson has been great. If you actually look at his stats right now, wow, those are amazing stats.
Best part about him, he's a big fan of BarDown. He's watched all the quizzes. I was interviewing Jordan Greenway, and then I was done, and he was just like, "You gonna win a quiz anytime soon?" I was just like, "Watch the latest
Greenway
one."
said that?
No, Philip Gustafsson.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
just chilling there, and he's like, "You gonna win a quiz anytime soon?"
Really happy for him. Something else that I am surprised about is that Matt Dumba's still on that team. Holy crap. We've been hearing about that guy
Every
getting
year.
traded for so long. He's got to go. He's in the last year of his contract, modified, no trade. I think he's gone. Come to Winnipeg.
Good
Just
sell
saying.
job.
He'd be a great fit.
Corn, what's your sell job? What's your team?
Next one I got is the Detroit Red Wings, and honestly, the biggest thing that surprised me was that Larkin is like pretty much not re-signing, guaranteed. And I shouldn't
feels
say
surprising.
guaranteed, but that feels very surprising to me because like
Red Wings outsider, Corn McCallum. He guarantees something. It's guaranteed to happen.
yeah, exactly.
See Johnny Gaudreau for evidence.
And
The Devils are locked in.
Devils
To
outsider.
Johnny Gaudreau, trust me, bro. I don't think the team is very surprising in any way, really. I think they're pretty much exactly where everybody expected them to be. Like, probably not in the playoffs. Like, if I was to pick out, like, a fraud in the Eastern Conference this year, like, it's probably them.
I think Jesse's actually a little bit surprised because once they added Perron, he was thinking Cup, right?
Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I think a guy like David Perron can do maybe I'm overrating him, but I just feel like a guy like that can do a lot for a team, and he's going to complement that top six really nicely. We'll get to him after.
How will we get back
How?
to him? Because of the
Because,
Blues?
yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay. Can't wait for that transition.
That's
Just kidding.
the Blues surprise.
Might have to skip the Blues
David
just
Perron.
because of that.
Okay, I got the Oilers. There's two for me. The first is how bad Jack Campbell's contract looks already.
Yeah,
that
it
is
is
one of the worst contracts in the league. Stuart Skinner is way better, and it's not even halfway through his first season in Edmonton.
To
Good
be
for
fair,
Jack.
I will
Good for
say,
Jack. though.
Good for
Yeah,
Jack.
Good for
for
Jack,
Jack.
100%.
He's a hell of a guy.
You signed
I
that
think
contract.
get that money.
We're all in favor of
1,000,000%.
labor and making some cash.
Get
It ain't
your
about
money.
that.
Get
paid.
your money, Jack.
Get
It's
the
more
bread.
just about,
Get the bread.
and I guess this speaks to the overall surprise of the Oilers is outside of McDavid, they are really, and Leon obviously too. Like I just didn't think their depth was this bad, but it's bad. They don't have a 20-point player outside of McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and Hyman up front. With the best player in the world already at 100 points,
Yeah.
you should be first in the Pacific. This is
But
a
like,
weak
but like,
year in the
but
Pacific.
they could easily finish the season
No, they
first in the
could.
Pacific.
They definitely could. If people
That's
are
so
expecting
valuable.
Cup for Edmonton because McDavid's unbelievable and he's going to carry them, I just don't think that works.
Do you think there's Edmonton fans that legitimately think they're the best team in the league?
I think
Oh,
so.
of course there are. Every team there's
Because
someone
they've got
there.
McDavid and Draisaitl. And they're like, he did it last year. He carried them all the way to the Western
Probably a
Conference
couple
Final.
student fans in Arizona are loaded enough to think that about the Coyotes. Anyways, Jesse, you're up.
I think that Nashville's goal scoring has been a little surprising. They've been brutal this year. They're 26th right now in goals for with 2.8 per game. Last year they were 13th in the league with 3.2. Yost obviously had a better year last year and wasn't going to replicate it. Still having a good year this year, obviously. I'm a little surprised with the lack of goal scoring on this team, especially after the year they had last year.
You just knew the Matt Duchene regression was coming.
Of course,
Like,
but like
40 plus, not
Not
again.
surprised.
there's been a lot of
Lucas said
regression.
that with a smile on his face.
Absolutely. You know what he scores,
respect.
though? Every time he faces the Avalanche, he puts up at least one.
All right, who got?
Me?
Yeah.
Tage Thompson is the biggest surprise. I don't think you can get away from
No.
that. That's just like,
Yeah.
it has to be because like everybody was surprised by Tage Thompson last year. Like, oh, he scored 37
30,
goals,
yeah.
30 assists. Like, that's an incredible season for a guy that pretty much like people were thinking pretty low of.
If they got that a second time from the deal, you would have been like, great for them to do that.
He is the definition of box office in the league right now.
Yeah.
Like
I
when we
love
asked
him.
that question
What a
last
skill
year of
set.
like,
I love
if there's
him.
a guy you would say, if there's a goal from this person, he's the one that I'm clicking on every single time. It's Sage Thompson because he's like this giraffe out there that can just move the puck from one face-off dot to the other and then back and roof it.
And that one-timer.
His one-timer is unbelievable.
It's a laser.
Everything about
Almost
him is
Olafson-like.
He's
Not quite,
amazing
though.
too.
Well, they legit that is.
I love him.
There are so many guys with the Sabres
Golson.
team. Like Cousins,
You can
everyone
say
thought
Dahlin
after.
as well, by the way, for your surprise.
Absolutely,
But that's how.
Dahlin.
No,
That's
look,
how
hey,
great their year is going.
Yeah, okay.
Honorable mention to Rasmus Dahlin because a lot of people thought of him as a bust.
Yeah.
Not long ago, and I would say he's pretty much a lock to be top 5 defenseman in the league.
He'll
Right
be
now.
nominated for the Norris. He might even win the Norris. One thing I just want to say, and I know we've given them a hard time in the past, and Z, you love him. Sabres, we love you.
The main note, I don't
Good
know if
for
we
you
actually
guys.
said it out loud, but the note at the bottom of this is just good for you, Sabres fans.
Yeah, and like
okay,
you're
there you
in
go.
the playoff race right now. You're in the wild card race. Your goaltending is obviously questionable, but like going forward, your future is so good.
It's
There
so,
is-
yeah.
Honestly, another surprising thing is somehow Craig Anderson is the best goalie on a team.
Yeah,
I know.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Let's talk Calgary Flames. There's not much to talk about. I guess.
Surprised how bad they are.
Yeah, and they got the best that they could get with Huberdeau and Weegar, and that's really good for losing Johnny Gaudreau and losing Matthew Tkachuk. You replaced.
Didn't we
those
say they
two-
got better?
Like that was the narrative. Was some
Maybe
people
because
saying
of
that
the
they got
Mackenzie
better?
With Kadri and everything
Yes.
as a whole, when you were looking at everything, I feel
I don't
like
think any
yes.
of us thought that for sure, but we were saying like you could make an argument.
You can make
Go
an
take a
argument.
look, editor. Everyone when we were ranking them felt they got better, right?
I think they at least stayed the same, which was they were a very good team.
Yes.
A lot of people around hockey, though, did make that argument where they were saying the Flames may have got better because Sutter's defensive system and the buy-in to that and Weegar being really good. Huberdeau has fallen off a cliff, which I think there was going to be regression, obviously, playing in Sutter's system and not playing in Florida where it was kind of just like high-flying offense all the time. But like Kadri, you knew he was going to have a worse season. This was why everyone was not willing to sign him to that big money contract. And it's not like he's having a bad season. He's already at 20 goals, but he's not going to be that 100-point player for you, especially where he is at his career. So, yeah, it is a little surprising that they're still kind of on the outside looking in of a weak Pacific division.
And let's hear about the shake-up and say that.
Let's do the shake up. So, real quick, though.
Just,
your
can
note,
you just read verbatim?
read verbatim what your notes say? The first
Look,
two
I
lines.
have a header.
But
It
you have to
says,
also yell because it's in all
Okay.
caps for the first one and then not
shake
yell.
up. the shake up.
And it's on a second
No, it
page.
doesn't.
That's the best
Those are
part.
the first
No,
two
it
notes.
doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Shake up, the shake up.
Look, I think the Blues have actually done a really solid job shaking their team up. But
I love I'm sorry, we keep skipping ahead. The last note's the best thing ever.
Wait, what is it?
Don't worry, he'll get to it.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone saw the Blues shaking it up like this, especially considering they almost beat Colorado in that series last
Wait,
year.
what's the last note?
The last note is David Perron has been a massive loss, and they haven't been the same without him. And they haven't gotten good goaltending.
Oh,
I don't.
there's
no way.
Yeah.
that
Guys,
that's-
I'm not kidding. One thing I did say was about the Blues, I think David Perron's going to be a big loss for the Blues. And I think it's surprising to see how much they've actually shaken up their core and that they're not really close to a playoff spot right
Are you
now.
getting paid every time you say that word?
Man, I love shaken.
Well, let's shake it up and go to Corwin.
I'm going with the Florida Panthers. I'm surprised that they hosted one of the worst All-Star weekends I've ever seen. The shootout thing was awful. Coming off such a high with the Zegras thing, and then somehow Zegras isn't even there. He wasn't even supposed to be there last year. They were just like,
Yeah,
oh,
just
he's
flew
so
him in.
good, we're going to bring him in anyways.
Yeah.
And then
Well, you should do
somehow-
that, yeah.
But then somehow
Absolutely.
he wasn't Anaheim's representative. Like, that team is garbage anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
why
it's a
wouldn't
bad
he
team.
just be there? That's so insane.
I mean, they do that like in the NBA. Like the guy who won the dunk contest is in the G League.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like,
Not even in the league.
Well, do that.
No, he was
like,
in
hey,
the league by the
I'm
time he
mad.
dunked it.
Yeah.
You could get some people outside the league. Like, why don't they get us to go and do the checks? All you guys just saying, and not to flex at all, but I
Try to be
tweeted. I
flex.
said, get JJ Watt doing the hardest shot competition. Get like,
Oh, that'd be unreal.
That'd be
he,
so
he
fun.
liked
Make a
the
spectacle.
tweet.
Really?
Yeah, he liked
Did
the
he
tweet.
really?
Yeah, he liked
Wow.
the tweet. I just want to say too, I don't think it's a coincidence that Paul Maurice goes to Florida. They get rid of Burnett.
Save
who
from
did
chest.
a great job last year. They get rid of him. They bring in Paul Maurice, which was kind of a head scratcher, and they're just not really a good team this year. It's just
Was a little nuts.
I don't want to shoot off, I don't want to shoot off at Paul Maurice because he did a lot of great things for Winnipeg, and I
You
know
don't
that
want to shoot off on him.
I'm just saying it's an interesting coincidence that like I don't know. Panthers fans, let us know in the comments what you think of Paul Maurice as a coach. I'd honestly love to hear because your team looked way better last year, although it looked a little different, obviously.
Moving on, Luca.
San Jose Sharks, Erik Karlsson. There's no other surprise. Norris front runner on pace for 100 points.
Might be the biggest surprise in the league.
Probably, yeah. At age 32, just revitalizing his career. I looked it up. There have only been, I think since 2000, the only defenseman 32 or older to win the Norris. Mark Giordano and Nick Lidstrom did it a bunch of times. So, like, this doesn't happen for players that age. And, hey, maybe Brent Burns getting traded was the best part about it for him. But the also other surprising part about it is he's doing this at even strength for the most part. To be the first defenseman to hit 100 since Brian Leach in a season.
Man, remember when he was at the peak of his powers during that like Senators Cup run?
It's gonna be his third
2017
Norris
one.
trophy. Like that puts you in some rare elite company, and to do it at this stage in his career where he's at.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The craziest thing, the even strength thing, is the
nuts.
most insane
Leads
thing.
the entire league.
Okay, moving on. Jesse, who's up?
Couple things about the Coyotes. For one, I'm surprised they're still in Arizona because it's an absolute joke that they still are.
I can't believe people thought that students were going to be the ones filling that place. Like, you remember being a student? How much money did you have as a student?
You know
did
what's
you have a lot to go
wild?
to NHL games every week?
People at ASU have a lot of money. What I'm really surprised about is the fact that Jacob Chikrin hasn't been traded yet. If I hear that guy's name in a trade again, I'm gonna throw up. Jacob Chikrin this, Jacob Chikrin that. It's like, shut up! We don't care. I don't want to hear Jacob Chikrin's name until anything happens. Like, everyone, pipe it.
You also have an incredible note that says, if I hear this guy's name in a trade talk one more time, brackets, other than with the Jets, I'm going to be sick. I'm done after that.
You want to take a picture of that one? If he comes to the Jets, I'll be the happiest guy ever. But, like...
You're like, legitimately, your notes are the star of this segment. It's crazy.
I have to get these printed.
One of them just says, "I can't even imagine how he feels."
And I said it. I had to read it because I don't want. It's not on him. It's not on him. He probably just wanted to get out of there for so long to get me the hell out of this place.
Imagine how he feels.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how he feels.
He's such a nice guy, though.
Dude, dude, that's
God.
my
He's
Jew.
the biggest beauty in the world.
That guy, he's Jewish. James
yeah.
Chikrin's Jewish.
Jewish?
Oh yeah, baby. Just send him to the Bruins. It's gonna happen. See you later.
Okay, see you later on to the next team, Corwin.
Okay, I'm on to the Habs. Most surprising thing I saw for them this year was that Nick Suzuki, he won some golf event, and then he was awarded with a Chipotle like lifetime gift card or something. He was like, Montreal doesn't have a Chipotle, which was very surprising to me. If I was just gonna throw a hockey one in there, I would say like
That's hockey related.
Suzuki getting the C was honestly pretty surprising for me.
We had them in fun but bad, by the way. Like, we had them high up.
Well, I think just
I
because they
said
have
they
those
were gonna
fun
be
young
horrible.
guys.
They are kind of fun. Like, man, Caulfield was having a great year.
Yeah.
Suzuki's been a lot of fun to watch this
But
year.
I mean, because the
Outside of
way
that,
our
dude, it's
tier
been
system
nothing,
goes,
though.
yeah, it was like,
yeah.
we had
However,
them
whatever our tier system meant.
broken.
We don't have to spend much time on this one. Anaheim, I'm honestly surprised that they're not worse.
I'm surprised they're not last.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're fighting for it with Columbus, and it's a pretty big fight right now. I thought they would be so much worse. I'm surprised they're not. Just based on how the season has gone, like Zegers and Terry, that's your team. Gibson's been horrible. The defensemen, like we thought they would be, they have not been great. They got nothing else going on. All right, you're up, pal.
Okay. Going with Chicago. Going with them, or they're up next. Just the fact that Max Domi is leading the team in points is kind of surprising. just like honestly, just like literally just surprising.
Yeah,
Like,
good for you, Max.
Yeah, good for him. That includes Patrick Kane.
The Sens. I mean, like on the so the Sens.
Like this is the first note I can reveal of yours that like Ryan Reynolds seems like he will buy you.
That's surprising as hell.
It is surprising. I like that.
That'd be
One.
surprising.
Yeah, I mean, like especially for a guy that's like known so much for being associated with Vancouver. That like I know, and he did have some time in his life that he spent in Ottawa. But like, isn't his Twitter handle like Van City Reynolds or something like that?
it is.
It's like so. Just that was very surprising to me. I think that's unreal. That could be the best thing to happen to the NHL. And obviously the Senators, because nothing really good happens
Like,
to them.
look how much hype is around a team that isn't even in the third
Wrexham.
tier
Yeah,
of English football.
True.
exactly.
They've made that unbelievable.
Chile, you're up.
I will do the other half of the trade me and Jesse made, Vancouver for
Oh,
Colorado.
Wow.
The thing I'm surprised most with them is they've honestly just managed to stay afloat this season because of all the injuries. Like, McKinnon has missed 10 games. Landeskog hasn't played. Nichushkin's missed almost 20 games. Byram and Manson, your second pairing on defense, have missed upwards of 20 games. Eric Johnson's now out with a broken ankle. McCarr's out with a concussion. He's missed almost 10 games. Like, this team has been absolutely in shambles. Mikko Rantanen has just carried them, and that's why he's been kind of considered in Hart conversations because he's just been unbelievable.
That's not real, though, by the way.
No, I know.
There's no way he's getting
There's no way he's going to get it. It's like a Taylor Hall situation almost. But McKinnon just passed him for points, and he's got the second most points per game in the NHL despite missing some time. So, but yeah, I'm honestly just surprised because you could easily spiral, and they haven't, and they're going to be a dangerous team again. So, yeah.
Do you think they're Cup favorites still?
In the West, yeah, I think so. Healthy, like, the West is a joke this year.
If there's one team healthy in the league, both conferences,
Yeah.
Colorado is the one team I would not want to play in the playoffs.
No.
Well, this is going to be an interesting stretch because we're about to talk about one of our favorite teams right here. Let's do this.
Talking about the New York Rangers, a team that Z and I are very fond of, and Corwin and Luca hate so much with a burning passion.
I actually don't hate them anymore.
Get out of here. It's too late. Fan club's closed.
My surprise is that they're actually just not ahead of the Devils at this moment in time, because I think that this is one of the best rosters in the league for sure. They don't have weaknesses.
Just one note on the Rangers, and maybe it's not totally surprising considering like their history with young players, but considering that the young guys were the ones that were adding the depth during the playoffs, are you not surprised that we haven't seen the leaps that we should have?
Man,
from Kako and Laugh.
The craziest part is that they've fully missed on other young players that should be in the roster, like Elias Anderson. They drafted 6th overall.
Just Kako, by the way, 214 career games, 37 goals.
Yeah, those guys are gonna have to take a step. But I mean, as your third line,
That's great.
In the
It's a good
playoffs.
they've got
It's a
depth.
really good third line.
Okay, well, moving on, Corwin.
One of the Hurricanes. They're perennially like the team that everybody always talks about. Like, oh, nobody's talking about the Hurricanes and how good they are because it seems like they just are every year. But this year's like insane that for like expected goals 4%, they have the second best numbers for the entire analytics era. In terms of like expected goals for and whatever, like it's most of the good teams sit around like 55, 56, 54. Like that's, if you're in that range, you're a very good team and you're pretty much a cup contender. Like at least it's how they describe those stats usually. And there's obviously a lot more into it, but just if you were going to look like at the glance at it. And then they're at 60. They're above 60 and the next closest team in the league is at like 56. So it's just they're miles ahead in this category at least, and I know it's not everything, but it is like just an indicator of just how dominant they are in their games, that they just get such a crazy amount of the scoring chances.
I'm underwhelmed by their top end talent, and I think you need a little more to win against some of the better teams in the East because they are loaded teams in the Eastern Conference.
It's just like even the Paul Stastny edition, I feel like
That was such a nice move. And
Yeah.
the Brent Burns trade has worked out great for
Brent-
them. Like, that's been amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, I get it. I get what you mean. But, like, even that, they feel so similar. And that's why it's so surprising to me that they're having,
they're
like,
even better?
one of the most dominant analytic
fair.
seasons in recent history. That,
And
like,
playing in the East doing that, too, where the East is
Yeah.
just loaded.
All right. Who's up next?
Islanders. I'm just surprised that like Lou just did this again. Like I don't get it. I don't get what he's trying to do.
People like the move, by the way, when it happened, as far as like what they were able to like.
get it,
Because
but-
like they're probably more maybe.
I think they like the value
yes,
of it.
exactly.
the value of it
The
for
value.
sure.
They
The
hated what
contract
Vancouver
is
gave up.
wild.
that's surprising that Lou would give out a contract.
And also, like, Horvat is having the career
Surprising to
year
him
of
even.
all
Huh?
career
Surprising
years.
to him even.
Exactly.
Horvat's shooting percentage is going to come down. It
guy's got
is
Steph
going
Curry's
to
shooting
come down
percentage right now.
And then look who you have locked it. Like, look at their cap friendly, and you just see contracts and the arrows going past 2027, 28. Other than Matthew Barzal, who are you excited about on this team long term? I don't know if I'm excited about anyone. Anders Lee, $7 million for the next 3 years after this one. Brock Nelson, $6 million after the next 2 years. Josh Bailey making $5 next year. Paul Mary making $5 the next 2. Horvat 8.5 into the future. This is your team for the next 5 or 6 years.
The Islanders struggle to score goals, and they went out and they just like tried to get their goal scorer.
Lucas' point still kind of stands, though. Because
No,
if you're
for
getting
sure.
a guy on a
I
heater
don't-
and then you're going to sign him to a long-term deal after,
Well,
that's
I-
definitely an interesting way to solve that
I don't
problem.
disagree with Luca, but I think I think, though, like at the same time, the Islanders needed a goal scorer, and they went out and they got someone who has been one of the best goal scorers last year. Whether or not that's sustainable, we'll have to find out.
I just don't know like the direction of this team.
It's not good.
It's old
not
and it's
good.
expensive.
It's not
and
good.
it's not getting any younger. Like there's no influx of young talent, and you're trading away draft picks, and I just don't know where you go from here.
I mean, like, man, even they squeeze into the playoffs. They play Carolina.
They're
the
gonna get
Rangers,
destroyed.
Or the Devils. Like,
Odds aren't great for a team that plays at a racetrack. Jesse, you're next.
Gonna go with the team that I would like to see draft Connor Bedard, the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I like it.
I love that team, and I think the most surprising thing about them this year is that they haven't hired me as a coach to,
bottom out.
No, well, yeah.
He has written that, by the way. That is in his notes.
Not
What's
only
the
that-
exact note? Can I get a clarification on what it exactly says?
For some reason, it's under the heading Boone. And then it says there's a heading Columbus.
Do you want to just read the notes?
No, we'll have you do
Columbus,
that.
Boone, that they haven't hired me as a coach yet.
And then under that it says Boone needs to learn a thing or two about blocking shots, and I just might have to go to Columbus and teach him a thing or two about how to do it.
Sounds like a setup of some sort.
Look, Columbus is a rebuilding team, and they've had a lot of draft picks the past couple of years, and they're going to continue to build, and it'd be nice to see them be sellers at the deadline. And this is a team that's going to get another really good pick in this year's draft, whether it's Connor Bedard, whether it's someone else. I really like the future in Columbus. I think in 4 or 5 years from now, we could be looking at Columbus as a really big powerhouse in the East.
All right, well, let's race through these last ones. Corwin, what do you got?
The Devils, like, obviously, the one that surprised me the most is that Vanacek is pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I thought their goaltending was going to be terrible and kind of sewer them. They've actually been solid. And, like, obviously, in general, they're having a great year. But I don't know if that should be that surprising.
Props to Corwin, though. Corwin was very high on the Devils heading into the year.
I'm very surprised. Like I thought Hughes would be good, but he's like in the Rocket Richard race. Like it's pretty surprising.
Yeah.
Just
The
the
goal
goal
scoring part is- yeah.
And he's just shooting a ton too. Like every game is just like 5 to 10 shots a game with that guy.
Well, Louis, you're up next.
This is my last team, Penguins. I just put surprised. I guess
You're surprised that you're surprised.
I'm surprised. Hey, this is a team I was high on last year. I guess just the core coming back and still maintaining this level of, I don't want to call it excellence because it's not excellence, but they haven't fallen off the cliff yet. Maybe the overall surprise is like Crosby's just unbelievable. And I don't think we talk about him enough as being just insanely good.
Philadelphia, I don't think anyone had high expectations of them this year as a team. Torts comes in, obviously starting to change the direction of the team, hoping to get them into a bit of a better place in a few years. I think a really pleasant surprise, though, has been seeing Kevin Hayes finding his game again. He's on track for his best season in Philly. Obviously, he faced a lot of adversity, and really nice to see him. He was in the All-Star game, too, which is great to see. So that's a really nice surprise to see from Philadelphia. I'm also surprised that Torts hasn't dropped the gloves with one of his players yet, because usually Torts goes to a team and you're kind of hearing just all sorts of stuff's going on. I'm sure there's stuff we haven't even heard about, but I feel like Torts really fits the city of Philly, so maybe that's why you're not really hearing about it as much.
I'm surprised more people aren't pissed about it because, like, if they don't somehow squeak into that top draft pick, like, that could have been an all-time terrible hire. Because I honestly do feel like if you don't get Torts in there, maybe they're even worse, and maybe they can contend for Bedard, but, like, they're just kind of no man's land.
Last team.
The Washington Capitals, I think the most surprising thing for them right now is that somehow these guys let me wrongly convince them that the Canucks reverse retro was nicer than theirs.
That Vancouver one sucks.
I know, but in the video, we put it at the top because
it's because we wanted to leave the room. Eventually, it was like, whatever. This is mind-numbing. That jersey looks...
That's
and someone
revisionist.
pointed.
You guys agreed on it eventually.
Someone pointed out later on that it was literally the same as like an AHL one, and we were praising how creative it was and different, and it was literally just ripped from another team pretty much, and it was like whatever to begin with.
And the funniest part, too, is that we all got like a free jersey from
no one picked it.
From this, and no one picked it.
Not
one person.
Not one person.
Not one person picked it.
What'd you pick again, Corwin?
I chose the Lightning one.
Which is dope. Which is very cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool one. Way cooler than the Vancouver Canucks one.
Capitals was...
You went with that. That's the one you got.
That's the one I got.
It's swag. It's swag.
It's swag.
I do think the Capitals one might be the nicest.
It's so sick.
Or actually, the Bruins.
Bruins one is nice.
Bruins one's so nice. Like seeing that.
Bruins! Room temperature IQs.
All right, that's it. That's the end of the podcast.
Yeah, that was it.